Video cameras are now racist. Hello everyone, this is Mr. Obvious, bringing you the obvious. And today on the New York Times, we've got another, well, let's just say insane article. As you can see here, the headline says, "The racial bias built into photography. Sarah Lewis explores the relationship between racism and the camera." You heard that right, folks. Cameras or racist. The Insanity by Sarah Lewis. Oh, that figures. This week, Harvard University Radcliffe Institute for Advanced Study is hosting Vision and Justice, a two-day conference on the role of the arts in relationship to citizenship, race, and justice. Well, see, there's your problem right there. Another one of those bogus, pseudo-scientific, in other words, not scientific at all, social justice studies. That is absolutely pointless. It's just indoctrination by the far left through cultural Marxism, organized by Sarah Lewis, a Harvard professor. Yeah, well, Harvard needs to fire her. She's just another SJW pushing pointless bullcrap. Participants include Ava DuVernay, Henry Louis Gates Jr., Wynton Marsalis, and Carrie Mae Weems. Aperture magazine had issued a free publication this year titled Vision and Justice, a Civic Curriculum. Oh, you mean brainwashing and social justice? Yeah, the last thing higher education needs is more of that. And edited by Miss Lewis, from which we republish her essay on photography and racial bias. Can a photographic lens condition racial behavior? I wondered about this as I was preparing to speak about images and justice on university campus. Look, Missy, you know how they say that the camera adds 10 pounds? Did you ever stop to think that maybe you're just fat? Same thing here. We have a problem. Your jacket is lighter than your face, the technician said from the back of the 1,000-person amphitheater-style auditorium. That's going to be a problem for the lighting. She was handling the video recording and lighting for the event. It was an odd comment that reverberated through the auditorium, a statement of the obvious that sounded like an accusation of wrongdoing. Another technician standing next to me stopped adjusting my microphone and jolted in place. The phrase hung in the air, and I laughed to resolve the tension in the room, then offered back just the facts. Well, everything is lighter than my face. I'm black. Yeah, I can already see where this is going. And let me tell you, it is not the camera's fault. Touché, said the technician organizing the event. She walked toward the lighting booth. My smile dropped upon realizing that perhaps the technician was actually serious. I assessed my clothes, a light beige jacket and black pants, worn many times before in similar settings. As I walked to the green room, the executive running the event came over and apologized for what had just occurred. But to me, the exchange was a gift. Are you stupid? Yeah, I know exactly where this is going, and it's so dumb. It is so dumb. Photography is technology. That technology relies on lighting. Lighting is a huge part of photography. Slightly bad lighting can completely change an image. It is not the photographer's fault if people with darker skin have trouble getting the right lighting. Seriously, if it's causing a lighting problem, then it needs to be addressed. You just fix it. That's all you do. You fix the lighting, you change it so that it works, and then you take the picture. It's just photography. My work looks at how the right to be recognized justly in a democracy. America's not a democracy, you imbecile. America is a republic. Pure democracy is pure tyranny. Tyranny of the masses. But of course, you can't expect a dumb social justice warrior to understand that. Has been tied to the impact of images and representation in the public realm. Really? Because as far as I can tell, even though African Americans are like 13% of the population, I see them in ads, I see them on TV, I see them everywhere. Overrepresented, 40% of the advertisements, 40% of the movies. But we're underrepresented. No, you're not, you delusional freak. It examines how the construction of public pictures limits and enlarges our notion of what counts in American society. No, that's just your insecurity. You're projecting. It is the subject of my core curriculum class at Harvard University. Well, Harvard must be a joke then, if they actually have social justice classes. It's also happened to be the subject of my presentation that day. It is what my grandfather knew when he was expelled from a New York City public high school in 1926 for asking why their history textbooks did not reflect the multiracial world around him. Maybe it's because some people in history just didn't achieve anything. Okay, some of the greatest achievements in the world were Eurasian. Sorry to break it to you guys, but it's not history that's wrong, it's you. The teacher had told him that African Americans in particular had done nothing to merit inclusion. Well, Is that really wrong? Sure, they have place in history. There are stories we can tell. But if we're talking innovation, if we're talking like culture, there's really not a lot we can point to. Maybe in recent history, but it's not history yet, because it's happening now. He didn't accept that as an answer. His pride was so wounded after being expelled that he never went back to high school. Well, gee, I wonder if there's a pattern here. Instead, he went on to become an artist, inserting images of African Americans where he thought they should, and knew they did exist. Oh, so historical revisionism. That is the solution. Wow. We was everything, apparently. We was everywhere. Look, I'm all for telling history as it was, and history itself is not completely accurate because the history that we know of is really just memories and the perception of people who wrote down history. But historical revisionism defeats the very purpose of chronicling history. It corrupts the very essence of our past. It is the wrong thing to do. It is terrible. 2 generations later, my courses focus on the very material he was expelled for asking about in class. Oh, I'm so happy for you. You get to spread your social justice and indoctrinate the minds of Americans. Yeah, that's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. After the presentation was over, the technician walked toward me as I was leaving the auditorium. I had nearly forgotten that she was there. She apologized for what had transpired earlier and asked if one day she might sit in on my class. Fuck off. Seriously. Oh my God. It's photography. It's not the photographer's fault if there's a lighting issue because some people look different from other people. People aren't equal. People look different. People have different skin tones. People will have different ideal settings to take pictures because that's where the technology is. Technology cannot be racist. It just can't. You'd have to be insane to think that a photograph, a camera, could possibly have any sort of racial bias. What is it? Is the laws of physics racist? Is that where we're at now? Is light racist? Because light's not even white. Light is a bunch of colors mixed together and it looks white. But really, it's extremely diverse because it's a collection of all these colors and all these wavelengths. Oh my God. What happened in this exchange? It can be hard to technically light brown skin colors against light colors. Yet, instead of seeking a solution, the technician had decided that my body was somehow unsuitable for the stage. No, she did not. She told you that your jacket was effing up the photo because it was too light. Solution, wear something darker, less contrast. You know, I'm not a photography expert, but it's a simple solution. But again, you don't want to take personal responsibility. You're just going to be offended and take it the wrong way and claim it's racial when it's not. Wear darker clothes so that you can take a good photo. Don't blame the photographer. Don't blame science. Don't blame technology. It makes no sense. Her comment reminded me of the unconscious bias that was built into photography. By categorizing light skin as the norm and other skin tones as needed special corrective care, photography has altered how we interact with each other without us realizing it. Is this what low IQ looks like? Oh, how dumb do you have to be? So how did she get into Harvard? How did she become a professor? How dumb are you? No, photography, it's not about light skin being the norm. It's about light, you know, as in the laws of physics and technology. It has nothing to do with your skin tone. Are you dumb? Yeah, they're dumb. They're just dumb. I have no other explanation. Photography is not just a system of calibrating light, but a technology of subjective decisions. Light skin became the chemical baseline for film technology, fulfilling the need of its target dominant market. Well, no shit. Who invented the photograph? I have a feeling that it was, in fact, I'll look it up right now. Screw it. Nikifor Nippes. Nippes? How do you say his name? Here's the inventor, apparently. Photography inventor. I can't say his name. And, well, there you have it. Although, again, this has nothing to do with race, nothing to do with skin color, nothing to do with racial bias. It's technology. Photographs were invented and the technology needed to be able to capture the people who invented it because they were the ones who were using it. There's nothing strange about that. Yes, you cater a product to your demographic market. It's not science's fault. It's not technology's fault. God. For example, developing color film technology initially required what was called a Shirley card. When you sent off your film to get developed, lab technicians would use the image of a white woman with brown hair named Shirley as a measuring stick against which they calibrated the colors. Quality control meant ensuring that Shirley's face looked good. It is translated into the color balancing of digital technology. In the mid-1990s, Kodak created a multiracial Shirley card with 3 women, 1 black, 1 white, and 1 Asian, and later included a Latina model. In an attempt intended to help camera operators calibrate skin tones. These were not adopted by everyone since they coincided with the rise of digital photography. The result was film emulsion technology that still carried over the social bias of earlier photographic conventions. Yeah, this is absolutely fake news. Okay. Limitations of technology. Maybe it would be a good idea to ensure that there's different settings for different people, but if they actually did that, if they actually put on photos, if you're Asian, please switch to Asian so that we can get the best picture. Can you imagine how much these social justice warriors would go crazy about it? They would say, "Oh my God, this is racist. Everyone should be equal. There should be the same camera for everyone, the same settings for everyone," because they actually believe in the lie of equality. Newsflash, people, equality is a false god. Equality doesn't exist. People are not equal. Different skin tones will most likely have different calibration and settings needed. It is not technology's fault. And I'm sure the technology will eventually reach the point where it can auto-adjust. Nothing to do with bias. Get over yourself. Fuji became the film of choice for professional photographers shooting subjects with darker tones. The company developed a color transparency film that was superior to Kodak for handling brown skin. Yet for the average consumer, Kodak Goldmax became appealing. This new film was billed as being able to photograph the details of a dark horse in low light, a coded message for being able to photograph people of color. That's not coded for anything, you absolute brainlet. It's able to more accurately capture darker tones. It is about technology. It is about the limits of technology. You are so brainwashed and deluded. This is why social justice is absolutely cancer. They see racism everywhere. They project it out of their own minds. But really, it's all coming from them. Photographs and cameras cannot be racist. Digital photography has led to some advancements. There are now dual skin tone color balancing capabilities and also an image stabilization feature, eliminating the natural shaking that occurs when we hold the camera by hand and reducing the need for a flash. Yet this solution creates other problems. If the light source is artificial, digital technology will still struggle with darker skin. It's a merry-go-round of problems, leading to solutions, leading to problems. You're absolutely stupid. You are pathetic. I swear. It seems like that because of the way light works and the way that photographs work, the way the laws of physics work, it's harder for people with dark skin to take good photos. So what? Do you think nature is racist or something? That's just how it is. Technology will eventually catch up. At least they're trying. It has nothing to do with racial bias. Do you think you could fix it? With your what you have like a gender studies degree? Social justice degree? If you're so smart, then why don't you fix the cameras? Why don't you make a camera that can capture everything and everyone? All tones, all lights, dark, light, everything. Oh wait, you can't. Because you became a pointless professor, spreading delusion and social justice, instead of joining STEM, becoming an engineer, and building a better camera. I wonder who the real problem is. Then they call algorithms biased. Algorithms are not biased, okay? Algorithms operate on pure logic. You see it whenever dark skin is invisible to facial recognition software. That's not bias. Again, it's difficult for dark skin tones to be interpreted and seen by our current technology. That's not racial. That's not biased. What, does it make you feel bad? Then fix it. If you're so smart, fix it. But you won't. You'll just bitch about it. Because apparently you can't do anything for yourself. Seriously. This has nothing to do with bias. It has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with racism. It's just technology. I know I keep saying that, but it needs to be said. And here's a picture of this extremely dumb individual. These are the kind of people destroying Western society. It's hard to fathom. In the meantime, artists themselves are creating the technology for more just representation. We are hearing more about issues with race and technology as we consider the importance of inclusive representation with the success of films from Black Panther to Crazy Rich Asians. Did they really? Black Panther? Oh. Yeah, it's really inclusive when everyone in your film is black and everyone in your film is Asian. That's diversity, folks. Everyone being exactly the same, but no white people. Yeah, that's what it means. Pro-diversity means anti-white. You know, I thought inclusive was supposed to mean everyone, of all races. But when you make a diverse movie, they're all the same race. They're just not white. So what does diversity mean if not anti-white? Isn't that racist? Isn't that exclusionary? Isn't that discrimination? I'm just asking the questions here. But I have a feeling these people on the far left don't have any real answers because it would expose them for being, actually being bigoted just towards a different race. Frederick Douglass knew it long ago. Being seen accurately by the camera was a key to representational justice. He became the most photographed American man in the 19th century as a way to create a corrective image about race and American life. 13% of the population. In the past, it was probably fewer. The average social justice warrior is so dumb. They're so stupid that they don't understand proportions. If 13% of the population is blue, let's just say blue. And the movies that the people make, there's only like 13% of the actors are blue. That's completely proportional representation. 13% of the population is blue. 13% of the actors, statistically speaking, will be blue. Maybe red is the majority. 87% of the population's red, so it makes sense that 87% of the actors would be red. That is equal representation because it's proportional to the population. But these people, instead, they say, no, half of the movie actors should be blue. Okay, so 13% of the population should get 50% of the jobs? That is literally racism and discrimination, and you're excluding the majority. 13% of the population should get 50% of the jobs? Are you insane? What about the 87%? That's not proportional. You're overrepresented. This is an agenda, folks. An agenda to get more goodies, to get more privileges. Because there's no one more privileged in this country than the SJWs and everyone pushing this nonsense, this identity politics. Yet for many, the question is still, why does inclusive representation matter so much?
It doesn't.
The answers come through the viral examples, such as the image of a young 2-year-old Parker Cherry gazing up at Michelle Obama's portrait by Amy Sherald at the National Portrait Gallery. Her mouth dropped open, convinced that Miss Obama was a queen. Ugh. Former White House photographer Pete Souza has captured an image of a young boy just 5 years old who wanted to know if his hair texture really did match that of the president. You can't become what you can't accurately see. No, that's a lie. What you become is really up to you and your choices. Sure, there's determinism. It's a big conversation. But it's so dumb. Why is it that these people who claim to be anti-racism, all they see is race? All they see is skin color. All they see is their differences. These people are not inclusive. They're not about equality. They're actually discriminating all the time against themselves and against others. It's a poison within their own minds. I often wonder what would have come of more time to talk with the technician. Her eyes were glassy as she said goodbye. Mine were too, grateful for her vulnerability. The exchange was the result of decades of socialization that we often don't acknowledge has occurred whenever we look through the lens.
You're a retard.
Race changed sight in America. That is what my grandfather knew. That is what we experience. There's no need for our photography technology to foster it. Well, there you have it, folks. Cameras are racist. Photographs are racist. Oh ho ho! Technology and science, my friends, is racist. Yeah. Wow, this article was bad. Oh, it was really bad. But yeah. So this is a look into the mind of someone, an assistant professor at Harvard University in the Department of History and Art and Architecture and Department of African American Studies. Why is that a department? Really? So you're telling me that these liberal arts students are going to go to Harvard and they're going to take African and African American studies and they're going to go out into the real world and they're going to get a job? Yeah, I studied Africa. Yeah, man. That's what I studied in school. I want to be a banker.
Do you know how to do math, sir?
No, I don't know how to do math, but I know a lot about obscure African music.
What the fuck?
Seriously. Oh, just picturing that. Oh my god. Okay, so higher education is trash, but that's merely the obvious. Well, that's all for today, folks. Let me know what you think about this story. Do you think cameras are racist? Do you think photography has racial bias? Be sure to let me know. Now, if you like my content and you want to support what I do, because I'm constantly being demonetized, left and right, it's horrible. So if you would like to help me out, you can join me on Patreon, Subscribestar, or you can donate through PayPal. Or hey, just share the video. That helps too. At the end of the day, I'm just happy that you're watching and that you're enjoying the show. Thank you for watching. This has been Mr. Obvious, and I'll see you all next time.